letting low on a hometown track. Dust rolling up like a freight train stack. Cooler in the bed of a beat-up Ford. Crowds getting loud cause they know what's in store. Engines rumbling like a southeast storm. Another wild night where new legends are born. Grab your hat, grab your girl, feel that grandstand shake. Everybody knows this ain't no small town state. Cause we're full throttle Thursday night at Ellen, big bright lights, rubbing doors, riding high, leaning hard through every fight. From the backstretch to turn forward, fans holler for more and more. Ain't nothing beats that heartbeat racing. Yeah, this is iNRS racing.
All right, everyone, welcome to our Thursday night series. This is our opening event here at Daytona, here on the IWM Broadcast Network. I'm Rick Souza here in the booth with Jordan Booth tonight. Jordan's here helping to pull this broadcast off tonight. Jordan, thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to help out.
So we've got 100 laps here at Daytona for the start of our 2026 season. Let's go ahead and quickly just right now jump to the race information. Let's just verify we've got the right information in there. It's been one of those days, Jordan.
Yeah, first week of the season, get all the bugs out now and rock and roll for the rest of it.
You got it. So 100 laps. We got a stage break at lap 33. No fast repairs. This year, this league, it's 100% fuel, so we've got a calculation somewhere between 37 and 42 laps. We'll fine-tune that as the race goes on, but it should be fun. It looks like the temperature's pretty average here, 91 track temp, air temp 79. That's looking like it's a good time to race.
Yeah, can't beat it. Sunny at Daytona, no rain on iRacing, thankfully, so don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely. All right, just a few minutes before we'll go ahead and get our grid up now here with practice underway here. The drivers did qualify last week on Thursday night in the duel, so the order is already set for us. So we'll once their practice is over, we'll bring that grid right to you. But this is the start of the new season. I'm kind of looking forward to what these guys can do. We've got a lot of new teams. We've got a lot of new drivers. Got some new graphics to show here on the IWM Broadcast Network. So should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just kind of where you start to familiarize yourself with some of the names that you want to be seeing run up front, but then again, it is Daytona, so really anybody's game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You just never know what you're going to expect. You can't, even though you see somebody running and starting from the pole, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best place to start. Drivers take a number of different approaches to this track and to this race in particular. Sometimes it's not so bad to pick a spot in the back, try to set your pace, keep up with the leaders, but timing is everything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be a lot of luck and about 10% skill tonight. Just got to be in the right places at the right times, avoid the wrecks, and find yourself with a chance on it coming out of 4.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and talk about what the keys are for tonight's event. All right, so the keys for tonight, it's going to be fuel saving. We'll see how that goes. If it stays lots of long green flag runs, fuel saving will be important. Secondly, working with your teammates, and of course, survival.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to worry too much about fuel saving in stage 1, but especially in that second stage of the race, like you said, if we get those long green flag runs, you might not think that you need to save, but if you can shorten up that pit stop by a second or two, it can certainly pay dividends coming out of the pits.
All right, well, we believe we're beginning to start to see the grid. Let's go ahead and see if we can, yep, we've got a grid. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the grid for tonight. It's going to roll automatically, so we're going to have to jump on it really quick. So let's go ahead and show you the grid for tonight's race. Starting on the pole, Lucas Gortman with Daryl Young Jr. on the outside in P2. In row 2, Eric Lambombard and Kai Collymore. Those are teammates. They're running side by side. In row 3, Matthew Patak and Jake Musso. And guys, if I butcher your names, let me know. We'll figure it out for next week. Row 4, Matthew Wheeler and Nolan McClurg. Row 5, it's Alec Daffin, Brian Jones. Row 6, Garrett Walton and Gary Wells. Row 7, Jeff Ramsdale and Vince Burns. Row 8, Dakota Reeder and Eddie Musso Jr. Row 9, Jordan Wenzel and Paul Irvin. And row 10, Joe Musso and Austin Walton. That's the halfway point, Jordan.
Yeah, we'll see if the technology wants to work with me here. In 21st, we got Chase Berry and James Klaus on his outside, starting 22nd. In 23rd, we got Corey Ennis and Tony Japs in 24th. Row 13, we got Brennan McKee and Eric Jeffers. Row 14, we got Ryan McClurg and Cody Sandlin. Row 15, Keenan Shade and Clark Franz. Row 16, Tyler Lem and Josh Douglas. Row 17, Mike Wheel and Zach Carter. Row 18, Keith Finesca and Jacob Phillips. Row 19, Joe Torres and Grady Gherkin. And row 20, we got Shane Trotter and Scott Thomas. Looks like the pace car's peeling off here. Let those ones wind down, but we're taking the green, Rick.
We sure are. All right, green flag flies here at Daytona for the first race of the season here in the iNRS Racing Series. Daryl Young out in front in the 71. To the outside, you've got 39 of Kai Collymore right behind him on the outside line.
Yeah, it looks like that top's getting formed up really good here. Should have some strong momentum down the back. See him drop down to the bottom.
So solidly two wide racing here.
See how these guys want to play it. Going to stay 2x2 early here. Don't have to fuel save in this first stage, so would expect to see a lot of comers and goers, but right now it looks like Kai Collymore and Daryl Young are doing their best to keep that bottom out in front.
Yeah, we expect to see a lot of moving and shaking here as these guys begin to figure out this outside line. You see an occasional driver will drop out and move to the back of the line. Sometimes that's just because that's the best way to get out of trouble. And it's easy to do that here in this race. You get a lot of pushing and bumping here. That's part of the drafting process. Of course, there's been some talk with this new Chevy package that's come out with a new body style that's kind of made it a little bit more difficult with these Chevys.
Yeah, going to take some time for the guys to get used to how the bumpers are lining up, especially that rear bumper. It changed quite a bit. So we'll have to see if that affects anybody tonight. But so far, it looks like we're keeping it nice and clean and orderly, staying too wide for most of the field. And that bottom line starts to surge ahead just a bit.
Looking back towards the middle of the field, you see a few drivers making a move from an inside lane to an outside lane or vice versa, trying to figure out where they can be best positioned, whether they're looking for a teammate or just trying to find some people to run with.
Yeah, this is a good time for all these guys to start feeling each other out. I mean, obviously they had the duels, kind of learned what each other like to do in those, but such a small sample size. First time we got this many cars out on track at once, so it'll be interesting to see how each and every one of them decides how they want to play with it.
All right, 4 laps in the books, and already we're seeing some drivers moving up in the battle. This is Matt Parasini. He's jumped 10 spots. Gary Gerken up 9. Scott Thomas up 9. Jacob Phillips up 9, and Cody Sandlin up as well as Zach Carter.
Yeah, we'll see a bunch of comers and goers tonight, I'm sure, but so far it looks like nobody's really tried to make it 3 wide. Could be some of those early season nerves showing themselves right now. I don't want to be the first person to make the first mistake. And we'll see if anybody decides to try and make it 3 wide as that top line is starting to fall further and further back.
Yeah, there are really a lot of movement going on there as they're they're trying to gain some momentum there. They picked it up. In other events we've covered here at Daytona, we've seen that the outside line really had an advantage, but tonight looks looking pretty even here.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on who you have around you. It looks like on that top lane, teammates have gotten linked up with Kai leading and Lombard pushing. They'll clear the bottom, see if they'll drop down. Looks like they will. But we saw that they were dangerous in the duels, working together, and now they've already found themselves nose to tail and out front.
Absolutely. Those drivers are teammates on the 40 XLI team, as you can see. And they've got themselves out in front. Again, finding that right spot. Again, that teammate, they were absolutely linked up in the duels. 71 of Daryl Young is sitting right there in 3rd. Lucas Gortman is in 4th. Also, Jake Musso is there. It really is. There's no, besides the 40 XLI guys, everybody else is kind of spread out amongst their teammates. You can look and see what's happened with the Short Fuse Motorsports. You see that Jake is sitting up in 4th, but the rest of his team is sitting a bit farther back. But if I go over to Lucas Gortman with the IRFK guys, same kind of situation. Lucas is out front. The rest of his teammates are further on back in the field.
Yeah, be interesting to see kind of who can link up the best as we see Kai jump out to the top. That's another strategy you might look for. Teammates might work really well with each other, but if you can get one leading both lanes, you can kind of control the race and do what you want with it. I mean, as we see that bottom lane starting to drop off, but big movement going on already.
Yeah, a lot of movement and really close racing. Go on board. Let's try to see where we would best go on board with Eric Lombard right there. Let's go and just see what happens. Let's see what he's doing here. So really from this in-car shot, you can see he doesn't have a lot of vision to see what's happening around him. He's got his mirrors to work from, but his front windshield is pretty much the bumper of the car in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, you see it on Sundays as well. The guys not being able to see what happens in front of them. That's where having, teammate communications as well as listening to that iRacing spotter is very helpful. See him kind of poke out every so often, a little to the left, a little to the right, trying to get that visual confirmation of what he thinks is out there. But if he gets a run and tries to bump the guy in front of him, especially being fourth in line, could create some checkups, and that causes problems further on back.
Yeah, we saw him jump out of line a little bit, poke his nose out. The race is not terribly hot here, but we don't know exactly if there would be some overheating as you stay with your nose tucked up under the car in front of you. You just never know.
Yeah, normally you don't see that unless somebody's linked up for a couple laps, then you might want to start worrying about some overheating issues, but you know, we'll have to see, you know, especially towards the end of the race, who can link up. And there he goes to the top. Looks like he's trying to go back up and find his teammate.
See Daryl Young in the 71 to the outside. The 58 of Eric LeBombard is right there behind him, where Kai is controlling that lower line. He's got the 25 of Jake Musso right there.
Yeah, Jake knows how to get it done as well. A past champion, really tight squeeze there from the teammates as LeBombard and Young drop in front of Kai. But, you know, Jake, the past season's champion, going to have a little bit of a target on his back.
I think they're coming up on a lap car. I think that's James Close there, who's on the outside, and that's always a challenge. Now they're 3 wide as they're going down the backstretch. See the 10
really
of Matthew Wheeler kind of sliding back. Although his paint says 24, he's actually a 10. And we'll see that in the first race or so as these drivers get their graphics to match our broadcast.
It looks like that lap car kind of started to break up that top lane just a little bit. Really big gap from the second to the third car in that line. Have to see if they can kind of tread water here until they get back to him. Not a whole lot of shakeup going on throughout the field right now. Pretty orderly, just staying 2 by 2 for the most part.
Yeah, staying pretty
Not
tight.
uncommon to see.
You kind of look back through the field. This is back. You see the 4 of Brian Jones, seeing Dakota Wheeler back here, currently in 14th in the 85. Kind of hard to pick out. These are all new paint schemes. We're seeing a lot of new drivers here. We're do our best to try and figure out who's in what car. But yeah, you're right, Jordan. It's pretty much just side by side, you know, door to door. Another car there. That's on the high side. I think that's the 55 of Vince Burns. It's going a lap down. That's the other thing about this place. If you if you find yourself without a dance partner, just as a single car making it around, you're going to be run over pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure, especially whenever you come down for those green flag pit stops that we hope to see in the second stage. Going to really want to make sure you come down with at least 4 or 5 other buddies. Going to make it a lot better getting back up to speed and making time. And as we see, just about these 3 or 4 cars continue to swap the lead here, and we're only 13 laps into this thing.
Yeah, so far, race leaders. Let's go ahead and grab that graphic here. Just been 2 official, Daryl Young and Kai Collmore, able to chalk up the fact that they have led a lap or more. But 13 laps complete here, and about 1/3 of the way through, just past that for our first stage. So a competition caution will fly at that stage. And then a lot of drivers feel at that point the race really begins, right? You've got 67 laps to finish this race out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the mindset for a lot of these guys, is they want to survive this first stage. Hate to end your first race out before you even really get started. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of caution out of a lot of these guys. You know, we're starting to see that inside lane gain more and more cars and really start to leave that high lane out to dry. As you know, the teammates are working well up front, and as we say that, here comes Daryl Young trying to get back up to the front.
He is also Nolan McClurg in the number 2. He finds himself now in the top 4. He's got the 25 of Jake Musso behind him. but he's right there behind the 39 of Kai Collmore in that low line. And just so we say, they see Gary Wells now up there as well with WLT2 Motorsports. A bit of single file racing further on back in the field.
Wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those guys in that bottom lane are kind of just biding their time, saving some gas, shorten up that pit stop at the stage break. I know that with the bigger fuel cells now, you might be more inclined to take 4 tires and wait it out, but if you end up around 15th or so at the end of the stage, but you saved a little bit of gas, you could very well find yourself restarting inside the top 10 with just a shorter pit stop.
Bit of a glitch there for a second. Not sure just what happened. That's the amazing. All this is across the internet, folks, and so we're kind of at the mercy of what's happening on the internet. Oh, 3 wide at the front.
It looks like Young found himself just getting caught in the sucker hole. Nobody's going to really want to go with him. We'll have to see if anybody can pick him up and save him, but...
Nope. Looks like he...
Ooh, he finds a tight slot there on the bottom.
Did. Yep. Eric LeBombard is trying to... He's definitely taking advantage of it. He's able to grab that high line, see if it helps. If not, drop down and pick up his partner.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely throwing some haymakers of blocks right now, trying to stay up front. About halfway through this first stage. A lot of racing to still be done. But business is certainly picking up. A lot of people want to get their cars out front and enjoy the view of everybody being behind them.
See, the 30 of Gary Wells finds himself out in front. With his teammate Paul Irvin is there in the 48. Second time we've seen teammates up in front. The WLT2 Motorsports team. We've got Paul Irvin and Gary Wells. The rest of his crew is back there a little bit farther back in the field.
Doesn't look like anybody's very content with riding around in second right now. Keep seeing every run. We're gonna go ahead and take it. Makes it exciting.
You know, a lot of changes of position, but I'm seeing some relatively smart driving here. We're not putting yourself in jeopardy, not trying to put anybody else in jeopardy. We're not taking it 3 wide here in the first 20 laps.
Yeah, it's about as smart as we can be on iRacing. I think a lot of us fall into the I want to go lead every single lap category, and I definitely think these guys up front have it, and we'll have to see if that plays out, or if maybe one of these guys riding around back in the back can find their way back up there here with only about 14-ish or so to go here in the stage.
A little bit of single file here on that inside line. Outside line seems to have stalled just a little bit.
Looks like the top has lost a lot of momentum, but that's just kind of what seems to happen here at Daytona. All of a sudden they go back, and the first car is 10th or 11th in the running order, and then the guy in 6th decides, I'll pop out there and help him out, and drags the whole lane back up, and then they're right back up there. So I wouldn't be surprised here in about 3 or so laps if that top lane kind of makes a resurgence.
Right now your leader Kai Collmore is out in front. He's got Nolan McClurg right on his tail. Jake Musso, Eric LeBombard, Daryl Young, Lucas Corbin, that's all on that inside lane. That outside lane's led by, it is still the 30 of Gary Wells. He's got the 48 behind him, that's Paul Irvin, and the 9 of Austin Walton.
It's kind of the unsung part of portion of this race, though, is if you're around a lot of those guys up front, you start to build that confidence with them. They know you can handle a push. They know you're a good pusher. So, one of the benefits that a lot of these guys are getting up front is they're learning who's around them. Haven't raced with them a lot, considering it's the first race of the year, and kind of helps you determine who you want around you come the end of this thing, who you're going to push, who you're not going to push. Getting that kind of experience up out front certainly pays a dividend later on.
Absolutely. All right, great racing so far. If you do get the opportunity here on YouTube, you get a chance to subscribe to the IWM broadcast channel. You'll be up to date on events here on Thursday nights in the iNRS Racing Series, and also on our Wednesday night series, which is the IWM Cup Series. Both leagues run very similar. They mimic really race for race what's happening in NASCAR on Sunday. So the iNRS Racing Series gives you the preview on Thursday nights, Cup races on Sunday, and then the IWM on Wednesday nights goes back to that same track. So we're kind of staggered.
See, that top lane still hasn't really been able to get all the way back up to the front yet. Certainly still trying. Can't fault him for doing that. Starting to make a little bit of inroads here. Hovering around that top 5-ish range. But still, Kai showing us the way. McClung, Musso, Young, and Wells kind of just following around. Coming to 10 to go on the stage here, Rick. I think this is whenever it becomes, do I want stage points or do I want to ride around?
Yeah, absolutely. So jumping on board with Austin Walton here. Let's go on board with Austin. You can see he's back here in the thick of it. Currently riding in 7th.
Certainly one of the more scary places to be riding. So you see Austin's kind of position tracker there on the left. Kind of just been hovering around that top 10 all race. Been as high as 6th where he is now, but delivering some good pushes to help him to get this top lane kick started and get towards the front.
Yeah, you saw that big bump on the 48 to give him a chance to maybe give a little push to the 30 of Gary Wells.
That inside line was just a huge surge there on the bottom. It'll be interesting to see if the top lane can generate that push down the back stretch that they had the last time. Starting to get cars wanting to creep up there, wanting to lead. Do you see Musso hop out there in front of him now?
Sure to get a bit more racy here with just 9 laps to go in the stage.
Certainly this is where as a car on the outside you have to be very cognizant of somebody trying to put you 3 wide, either split in the middle, jumping outside. All it takes is one wrong move and you're in the fence.
The 71 of Daryl Young is right now out in front on that inside line with the 39 of Kai Collmore behind him, and Nolan McClure in that white and red Ford Mustang. Oh, and just like that, Nolan finds a way.
As it looks like Kai has lost his teammate. Looking there on the tower on the left, Lambombard is listed as out right now, so that advantage that they had earlier kind of gone now. Kai's gonna have to try and find his friends where he can find them, but right now McClung and Musso battling it out for the top spot. Yeah,
it looks like in our information that he may have disconnected from the session. Not exactly sure what happened, but he is currently out.
Top line starting to carry a lot more momentum around here, starting to get more wound up as they go.
Yeah, they were nose to tail, 25, the 30, and the 48 for a lap or two. That's certainly going to help them build some momentum, and it's paying off dividends.
Certainly be interesting to see what Musso does, if he can clear McClung at all, if he'll drop down, take it, or if he trusts his high lane.
Saw the 30 of Gary Wells go a little bit wide, may have lost a little bit of momentum there, and they're sucking back a bit.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. Looked like he had a little moment. So we see, looks like that might be the 39 jumping out to the outside with Young. Going to try and lead that now around. One of those things that we were just talking about. They've worked around each other all night. So at this point, I almost view him as a teammate of sorts at this point.
Yeah, I don't think Daryl Young is actually affiliated with any team, so taking the opportunity there. Oh, a little bit of a brushback, would you think?
Yeah, it looks like Kai thought he could cover off that block, or that move with a block. Wasn't quite clear. No harm, no foul. They keep trucking, but certainly something to watch here as we come to 5 to go on the stage. Those blocks are only going to get bigger as we go.
Now, stage points matter here in this league, just like they do on Sunday. Top 10 cars will be awarded points in their finishing order, and that goes to their total as they work towards the chase.
A little different this year. No playoff points, so the only thing you get are those 10 stage points for winning the race. But I mean, if you get 10 stage points and finish 20th, you can almost view it as a top 10. So still very, very important for these guys here to try and maximize what they can early on.
Yeah, it definitely goes back to our earlier comment of you've got to survive here at Daytona. You've got to be able to be there at the finish to collect your points and be successful.
Certainly, that top lane's starting to have to fight a little harder, squeeze them down in the corners, try and get that side draft, and then flare out to get the momentum down the straightaways. But right now, that inside line's starting to kind of stretch out a little bit as we go further here into stage 1.
All right, we're coming up to our stage. We only have one stage in this league, but one's all you need to collect those points.
Starting to see a couple guys flirting with 3 wide. Looks like nobody's really ready for that to go on quite yet. Whoever that was is gonna cycle himself back to the back. One thing I'm noticing though is that 30 car of Wells seems to really like to flirt upwards.
There's a wreck. Caution's out. Caution's out. Back of the field, lots of cars involved.
Looks like some days are probably going to be over after that one. Some pretty hard licks.
Yeah, unfortunately, this league does not have any quick repairs. Does not have an auto fix. If you've broken your car, you've got damage, you're going to have to head to the pits and try to get it as repaired as best you can.
It looks like one car was smoking, kind of puttering towards pit road back there. Not sure who it was, but it looks like their day's more than likely going to be over before it even could get really going.
Yeah, we're going to try and go back and take a peek and just see what happened here. We'll run this through quickly until we can figure out just what happened. Oh, there it is. 94 goes around. That's Matt Persini there. Gets collected in that wreck. Number of drivers involved. See the 42, the 15.
Hard to see what really caused it, but certainly could see what happened after. Some pretty big licks for a lot of these guys.
Well, I think you can see it right there. There's a Mike wheel right there. Kind of goes forward a little bit here. Right in between. So the 94 comes down a little bit, unfortunately. That's Persini gains contact, and looks like that's what started the whole mess.
Yeah, looks like Matt tried to squeeze just a little too much when there wasn't really room to squeeze, and yeah, it looks like both him and his teammate in the 42 are going to be trying to fix up whatever they have left of cars. Some big hits here from guys further on back too, just unfortunate, but it looks like that'll be the stage break as well, so now it's a dash to the end.
All right, pretty much while we were looking at that incident, everybody has made their way on to pit road. Topped off on fuel. Looks like from what we can tell, everybody took that opportunity to change their tires, start fresh. and we'll rack and stack and do this all over again.
It's like we might have some new faces out at the front as well. It's like it's Jones and I believe that's Reeder gonna be up there at the front. I haven't seen them up front yet, so interesting to see how they play into this kind of front of the pack dynamic.
Yep, that's Dakota Reeder out in front, Nolan McClurg in second, Daryl Young in fourth, and Jake Musso in fifth. Again, lots of new faces this year. We've got lots of new teams, and really excited to see great turnout tonight too, Jordan. 42 drivers entered tonight's field.
Yeah, certainly. Always nice to see everybody coming out, especially bright and early here. You know, everybody's got a chance at Daytona, and so always nice to see a full field of everybody ready to give her a shot.
All right, caution still remains out, but my guess is this time by we'll have the lights off on the pace car and we'll go to green. Yep, we'll be green next time by.
Looks like Jones took the top there. Interesting call, especially considering we've seen, you know, the bottom almost be the more dominant lane tonight. But we'll see if that top lane choice works out for him.
Well, he's got his teammate right with him. That's KPR Motorsports. That's both Brian Jones and Dakota Reeder. They're running right now. They'll control both lanes.
That makes a lot more sense now.
All right, you may have saw a number of drivers who went back down onto pit road. A lot of them are just take that opportunity to top off their fuel. Every little bit helps here, especially if we stay green all the way to the next break.
Yeah, certainly never hurts to have just a bit more fuel than the guy in front of you. Might help make your pit stop just a bit shorter. That might be all you need.
If we were to stay green for the rest of this race, they'd stop somewhere about lap 73, 75, and that would be the only stop they would need to make under green. Now, this is Daytona, so there's no guarantee that's how this will play out, but you can only hope.
Yeah, certainly. And another thing to look out for is that these big tracks, these big super speedway tracks, as long as you pit from the lead pack, you don't lose a lap. So some guys might look to short pit it as soon as their fuel window opens up, and then if they get a caution, stay out, and now they take the lead. But that is also all dependent on us going green, which at super speedways, Rick, as you know, not very likely.
No, not at all. Well, the drivers are making their way out of turn 4. We'll see the pace car drop off, and then this is Brian Jones's race to take the flag, and here we go. Out of the United Rentals restart zone, and we are back to green here at Daytona in the iNRS Racing Series.
And he instantly drops down with his teammate. Looks like Daryl Young was able to follow him through, though not a great start from Reeder. Jones might have moved a little bit before that restart, or before the start-finish line too, so it could be something to see if the league polices that. But mass migration to the bottom right now.
All right, as this field begins to reform, we'll see some moving and shaking. As soon as we call out who's in the lead, it's going to change.
Looks like that strong trio from earlier of Young, McClung, and Collymore has decided to all kind of form together here and try and take over this lead. So McClung drops to the bottom now, handing it over to Young. And just like that, Jones and Reeder are kind of vanquished.
Well, they led a lap. But right back to the point goes Kai Collymore. Oh, caution flies again.
Interesting to see what happened.
I'm looking. Let's look for Tony Japs. Possibly something happened with the 42. Oh, yeah.
Just tried to clear himself whenever there was not a hole there. Just saw him caught up in that last wreck, so I'm sure that he was happy to get his car mostly fixed up, and now it looks like he's going to have to do it again, unfortunately.
Yep. Doesn't look like it's too terrible, but he's definitely got some damage. All right, back under caution here at Daytona for it looks like a one-car incident with Tony Japs.
Be interesting to see if anybody decides to come down and top off here. As we've said before, you know, having as much fuel as you can in the car certainly seems to help, but at the same time, pretty hard for guys like Collymore, Young, Wells, Wenzel, Walden to want to give up that top 5 position to go down and get, you know, 2 laps worth of fuel in it.
Yeah, it'd be really hard to work their way back up to the field. We've already seen that to be a challenge already tonight. If you can maintain that position, it seems like that's the most prudent way to go.
Just a shout out though to Collymore, Young, you know, even McClure. They've all kind of found themselves at the front of this thing this whole time. I know we're only about a third of the way through it so far, but you know, we've seen a lot of comers and goers, and they certainly seem to be sticking around up front a lot more than most.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to a number of drivers. Scott Bailey finds himself plus 31 positions. He is currently in 10th. He started at I think it was the last row or second to last row of the event. Grady Jerkin plus 30 as well. Clark Franz plus 23. Zach Carter plus 19 and Scott Thomas plus 16. All right, a couple of notables. Corey Ennis is in the pits trying to get repairs made, as well as Matt Pericini. The only driver we show as officially out now is Matt Wheeler. Looks like Eric Lombard was able to rejoin the session, but unfortunately he's sitting back in 38th position.
Yeah, certainly a bummer. He was one of those guys that was running up towards the front, but now at least he can come back out here, maybe, you know, catch enough caution, get all his lap backs. Well, we never know. But at least now he can, you know, maybe try and finagle his way up there to help his teammate.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, that's kind of the result sometimes, the fact that we are connected via the internet. You never know. We've got drivers all across the country here who are converge into this session, and you know, you never know what the local weather is doing or what's happening, and we were broadcasting another race. The leader was out there. He was going to win the race, and all of a sudden he disappeared. Come to find out, his 2-year-old ran through the room and knocked his internet cord out, and he was disconnected. So things happen.
That's the first time I've heard of something like that happening.
Yeah.
But yes, certainly things do happen.
You just never know.
Certainly.
All right, 37 laps in the books here. Just the second caution of the night. First one was a competition. Well, first one was going to be a competition caution, but unfortunately there was an incident just before it. But really some great racing so far, Jordan. Some good battles around through the field.
Oh, most certainly. Seen a lot of slicing and dicing up front, which is always fun to watch. But we'll have to see now if we can get back into that rhythm and log some laps here.
All right, lights are off on the pace car. You'll see the 39 of Kai Collymore. I believe he is in control of this restart with the 71 of Daryl Young to his inside. Jordan Wenzel finds himself up there in third place. It's with the Short Fused Motorsports 2 team. Number of drivers on track. You've got Garrett Walden, Grady Gherkin, and Zach Carter. Those guys all in the top 10 outside of Zach Carter.
That's going to be one of those teams to watch, especially on the drafting track. Strength in numbers, and they certainly have numbers, but along with those numbers, they certainly have a lot of quality drivers there. So it could be a team to watch for here as we start to wind down these laps.
And they're all in nearly identical paint schemes, only differentiated by their number. So,
Yeah, I've been guilty of doing that with my team as well, and now being on the other side of that, I can see the difficulty that it creates.
it definitely is a challenge for the broadcast team.
For sure.
All right, quickly, lap
Like
38 of 100 in the books. Kai Collmore, your leader. We've had 2 cautions for 6 laps and 13 lead changes.
Looks like Collymore decided to take the top. That's what we saw in the last restart. Didn't quite work out great for them. We'll have to see if he can pull it off a little better here as we come to the restart zone.
All right, green flag flies here back at Daytona. 62 laps to go in our opening event here in the Daytona 250 here in the iNRS Racing Series. The 39 of Collymore and Jordan Wenzel on that inside line.
Like we saw in that last restart, kind of looks like a mass migration down to the bottom early at least. We'll have to see if they start getting more two-wide action going on throughout the field. But, you know, about those first 5 or 6 cars so far on the bottom, clear of everybody else.
Solid racing going on. Big push on that high line. Get a feel for. That's McClure, I believe, on that outside. Noah McClure in that white and red Ford Mustang had the 46 behind him. That's Grady Gherkin, followed by the 11 on Scott Bailey. They're trying to put something together. They're making progress.
Yeah, it looks like Wenzel and Collymore got disconnected quite a bit there going into 1, and then so far I've been able to get connected back until turn 3. Let that top lane really close up.
Yeah, just like that, they're side by side at the front. Man,
Top
too
lane
wide
doing a
racing.
really good job of pinching them down so far in that tri-oval, and then as well as into the corners and through the center of the corner. And we'll see if they do it on the back stretch. They've done it the last couple laps where they'll kind of flare up on the exit of the corner, trying to generate a little bit more run. Kind of there, you saw it a little bit. They kind of try and get away from them, use the momentum without getting side drafted.
Oh, and the 71-2 use that momentum they have to drop down to that inside line. On board with Jordan Wenzel. And you can see on that graph on the left-hand side, you'll see where that pit stop was, right around lap 31. That it indicates he took 4 tires on that pit stop.
I don't think tires are going to matter too entirely much, but never a bad idea to throw some on. As we see, you know, you could really get a picture for it here whenever you have a car on your outside as well as a car in front of you. You really cannot see much, so you're kind of at the mercy of everybody else.
Oh, caution flies. Ryan McClure, James Close. Back in the tail of the field, the 48 involved. That's Paul Irvin. Looks like he's got some. It's like some steering issues potentially with that 48.
Yes, certainly. Doesn't look to be doing exactly what he wants it to do.
Let's go back and take a quick peek at what may have occurred. Let's back that up just a little bit. Watching the 48 and the 84. This is the 48 may have gotten out of the throttle a bit because of that stack up. And the 55 may have tapped the 84, and unfortunately around and around they go.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it started well up in front of him. It looked like the 09 might have had to get out of the throttle, or he got out of line or something, and kind of broke a lot of them up, and that kind of caused a chain reaction that we saw where the 48 tried to go high, 84 tried to stay in line, and ooh, big hit there at the end.
Yeah, that's the 34. That's a McClure. That's Ryan McClure, unfortunately.
Never know if he didn't see it or thought he could find a gap or something like that, but certainly a little bit late there.
All right, caution flies for the third time here, lap 44. Number of drivers, especially involved in that incident. You can see the 34 has got some, definitely some suspension issues on that 34. Watching the 48 come in. We'll get some work done on that car. All right, about half the field made it down on the on this caution.
Definitely puts the guys who pit in a much better fuel situation than all those who stayed out now. So if we can go green to the end here, those guys who pit now are going to be riding pretty happy.
Yep, they may just need a splash at the end versus a full tank.
Certainly, it's that, man, after they've ran about, they've only ran maybe 15 green flag laps at most, but still, that's definitely a significant amount of fuel advantage that they have now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we thank you again for tuning in to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series here on Thursday nights. We'll be here each and every Thursday night. And if you get a chance, just click on that subscribe button and never miss a broadcast. All right, so the 71 of Daryl Young is out there. He'll have the 39 of Kai Collmore to his inside or outside, depending on which lane he chooses. We will have Nolan McClure in the second row, along with Grady Gherkin. And he took the inside line this time.
Can't blame him for taking that at all. McClurg's been really strong all night. Kind of that trio that we were talking about earlier of Young, Collymore, McClurg, and they find themselves 1, 2, 3 again here on this restart. Have to see if they elect to work together here, or if perchance one or two of them get left out to dry.
Just never know what could come up. We're coming up to the halfway point of this race, just 5 laps from halfway.
Getting towards that point now where, if some of these guys who just pit might want to get into a little bit of a fuel saving mode, try and make their tank stretch even longer so they have to take less fuel towards the end, and these guys up front are going to want to push the pace, not let them save fuel, and try and, kind of bridge that fuel number that they have to try and match now.
Your leader on this restart will be Daryl Young from Peoria, Illinois. Here we go, back to green flag racing. Good
Not a
restart.
good launch at all for the 46.
But everybody behind did pretty well. They stayed tight. No real advantage there.
Yeah, gonna have to look for the 46 to hopefully get to the back of the 39 here and push them down the backstretch. Right now, that inside line's really nicely organized, nice and tight with each other. You have to see if that top lane momentum can try and surge back here on the backstretch.
'71 moved up to help that outside line. We've seen those two together, nose and tail, all night.
They should see if they can continue to work, try and get clear to that bottom again, but just some really big pushes going on.
Solid racing side by side.
Should be a big push for that top line down the backstretch. Looks like the 39 was able to get connected in the middle of 1 and 2. Young will be definitely cleared. He'll take it too and drop down to the bottom.
Now Collymore looking for a little bit of a push on that outside line from that's the 46 of Grady Gherkin. And
Gherkin delivered it for sure.
Yeah, huge.
Massive push coming out of 4. Gherkin takes that run to the bottom now, and now it looks like that's Scott Bailey in the 11. Gonna try and come to the 39's rescue here and see if he can do the same thing that Gherkin did.
Oh, 71 moves right back up to the outside. He knows he's got a good pusher in the 39 of Kai Collymore there. They've been doing it together all night.
Yeah, certainly. Whenever there's a new sea of new cars around you, not very much familiar, you tend to gravitate towards the ones you've seen before. Looks like they worked well together, got themselves both clear the inside line now. See if they can start to make that top lane kind of disappear like we've seen earlier.
That outside's led by the 11 of Scott Bailey. He's got his teammate not far behind him with Matthew Patak. I think it's Patak. I'll figure it out. Get a long season ahead. Lots of time to butcher people's names.
Regardless of their names, they are certainly still making that top lane work, keeping it at least in arm's distance of the leaders, to see if they can generate that momentum down the backstretch like we've seen from that top lane all night long. See a big disconnect from the 39 and the 71. 71's going to take that and go to the top, cover him off, and as we say that, the bottom kind of surges back for a little bit. Have to see who gets a better push down the back. Still pretty even. Pushing through the corners. Sketchy, but if you make it work, you certainly go fast.
Oh, jeez.
Tight block there from the 71 coming back to cover off the 39.
I don't know how he held that car together. He got such an off-center push. He was wiggling all down that backstretch.
Certainly, we've seen these big moves keep being thrown all race long. Why stop now? We're halfway through. That's good enough for me. Let's keep throwing big moves.
A bit farther back, there's someone trapped in the hole. I think that's it is. That's the 96 of Mike Wheel. He is unfortunately, and now it's the 09 finds himself back there. That's Cody Sandin or Sandlin. Sorry, Cody.
Still seeing a lot of just this too wide race, and yeah, certainly don't want to clear yourself up. It's a good way to end your night very quickly.
Yeah,
Starting to kind of see this.
Pretty racy in the mid-pack here, Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. It's like one guy wants to make it 3 wide, nobody goes with him, and they loses 3 spots. So we'll have to see. Still kind of early on. A lot of these guys might just be kind of riding around, saving some fuel, biding their time for now. But certainly I'd expect it, maybe in these next, 10 or so laps. I might expect to see some pit stops in the next 10 or so laps, but as well as I would expect the racing to kind of pick up around then as well.
Yeah, based on let me just double check my math again. We'll see how close I am. So that's 38 laps per tank of fuel. Of course, it's less if you're up front, it's more if you're just coasting behind. But that says those guys who came in at lap 31, they should be pitting sometime around lap 69-70.
Yeah, certainly. That definitely puts them well within their range if they pit then, but then you might have some of those guys who want to pit early, get it done, and try and catch a caution and jump in front. So
no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Probably around lap with about 37 to go or so, I would expect to see a couple. As we see 3 wide. It's like that's Daryl Young kind of caught in the middle. Nobody seems to be wanting to help him either. So he'll have to try and fight his way back up to the front. He's been up there all night, so now we'll have to see if he can make his track position back up.
He's still sliding back, unfortunately. He now finds himself in 19th. Still losing positions.
This is one of the most... There he goes. He finally slots in on the bottom. One of those feelings of a race car driver where you're just like, why does everybody hate me? Nobody wants to come save me. I'm just going to keep falling back. But he did a good job of being patient, not forcing himself into a hole that wasn't there, and just taking what it's going to give him. Still a long way to go here, and we've seen a lot of guys go from the back to the front and vice versa, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him back up there.
All right, a little bit of a breakaway here with these top 5 or 6 drivers here. That outside line kind of crumbled a bit and looking to reform. Got the 25. That's Jake Musso, experienced driver here in this circuit.
Certainly a past champion, so can never count him out. I'd definitely say that he knows what he's doing on how to get around here, especially. So see if he can kind of drag that top lane back up. But we've seen this all night where the top lane kind of disappears, then you give it about 5 or so laps, and they're right back up there challenging for the lead. See a lap car might stall the process just a bit. Doing a good job of keeping up against the wall. Shouldn't hurt him too bad.
Good move up there. Couple noble drivers. You got Keenan Shoddy, who's there. Currently, Keenan is in 9th in that 45. Talk about Grady Gherkin already in the 46.
Looks like we have a couple teammates there working on that top lane. Looks like I think that's Wenzel and Musso. So definitely going to have each other's backs here and could very well be challenging that 39 here on the back straightaway for the lead.
Absolutely. So Short Fuse Motorsports fielded two teams this year. You've got the Jordan Wenzel, Garrett Walden, and Grady Gherkin all there, 4th, 6th, and 7th. And then you've got the other team, which is Short Fuse Motorsports with Jake Musso. He's currently showing in 5th. So lots of affiliations and teams right at the front.
Yeah, for sure. Always nice to have people you can trust. Ooh. That's a scary push.
Way out of shape there.
Way out of shape, but to the lead. Way to hang on to that thing, and now they're right up there with the 39 of Collymore, battling it out, just like we said, in a couple laps.
43 laps to go. We're guessing somewhere in the next 5 or so laps, we'll begin to see drivers decide they're going to make the trip down onto pit road, maybe get an early pit stop, because we're right now solidly green here. Knocking wood.
As we see all those 3 teammates drop down in front of Collymore. Collymore not having any of it. He's going to take it to the top, see if he can make anything happen up there. But now that you got 3 teammates all lined up nose to tail, going to be very, very hard to break them apart. They should work very well with each other.
Yet a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these drivers, they take their personal time outside during the week, outside of the season. They're out there racing, practicing, getting ready to go. And on tracks like this, getting out there and practicing with your teammates teaches you a whole lot about how to run and how to run in a pack.
For certain, this is definitely a repetition type of track. Whenever you keep racing it, you see a bunch of different scenarios, you make decisions, and you go back, that wasn't the right move, or yes, that was the right move, and you learn, and that's what we're seeing here, is all 3 of them have found themselves linked up. You see McClurg and Collymore, I think that is, going to try and make that top work and get back up to him.
What the heck happened there?
I am glad you brought up that graphic, though. Gortman started, on the pole, and we haven't really talked about him much all race. Kind of been biding his time back in the 20s for most of it. Kind of a shocker. I would have thought he would have been one of the guys up front, but haven't really seen much of him besides taking the green.
The other thing we are seeing is that 2 car. Unfortunately, you'll see it appear and disappear. He is. You'll hear us say he's blinking. Basically, that he's got a connection issue with the internet and with the iRacing servers, and unfortunately, that makes for a scary view out of the windshield of the 39 as that car appears and disappears in front of him.
Yeah, it certainly can hold up a line for sure if that continues to be an issue. We'll have to see if the 39 trusts him or if he drops down to the bottom here. So he'll stick with him for now, but if we see that again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of people decide to go their separate ways and kind of leave him out to dry.
Absolutely. Yeah, at some point, though, if it really becomes a problem, I'm sure that the admins will reach out and ask him to take some... Oh, just saw a car shoot across. That's Josh Douglas.
Looked like there's a really big checkup there, and then all of a sudden, it's like he caught the short end of the stick and got shot out. We stay green, which is going to be really, really unfortunate for him, but just like that one blink almost, it seems like it caused just some uncertainty, and 3 wide happened, and now we see a really big breakaway from that inside line.
Jordan Wenzel out in front here with the 25 of Jake Musso behind Brady Gherkin. That is Short Fuse Motorsports 1, 2, 3, and 5. The only interloper is that 30 of Gary Wells with the WLT2 Motorsports team.
And now with, around that 38 or 36, I can't see that. I'm sorry, I'm watching this on my
38.
phone. So with 38 to go, looks like this kind of puts everybody close to their window of fuel. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys come down, within these next 5-10 laps or so. Try and catch that caution on the flip side, or even just come down with a big enough group to where you can start making time on this lead pack.
Seeing someone making the way, and that's Nolan McClurg by himself headed into the pits.
Could have been something related to the blinking, or maybe he just didn't communicate well enough to get others to come with him. Have to see how that works out for him, unfortunately, but big shakeup now. A bunch of the guys that we saw up front are gone and kind of replaced with the SFM crew.
Jordan Wenzel out in front. He's led 6 of the laps so far tonight. Followed by Jake Musso right there in second. Brady Gherkin there in third. That's your potential podium right there with those three, but that's not how it's going to finish. Or it could. We'll see.
Having been, in their position with those 3 cars leading, there's a lot more going on than what meets the eye for sure. There's a lot of calculations going on for fuel. What do we need to take? How do we need to come in? Who needs to be furthest left whenever we pit? Who needs to be furthest to the right? How are we going to get out? So it might look calm and collected right now, but I'm sure in those voice chats right now there is a lot of frantic talking or even yelling in some cases at each other right now.
Yeah, all trying to figure out exactly how to come in. That was always a challenge in team racing on super speedways, because it's not just as simple as, just peeling off and you can just pick it up. You've got to all get to your pit boxes at about the same time so you can all get back out at about the same time.
Yeah, certainly. And you have to remember where you all qualified so that way you don't run over each other on pit road especially. But as we see, this top lane starting to kind of make a resurgence. Took them a little bit to kind of get wound back up after that big debacle that we saw, but now starting to make inroads, creeping in on the top 5, and as they keep getting closer and closer, we'll hopefully see them kind of challenge again.
Yeah, that's the 30 of Gary Wells making his way up the outside. He's got a little bit of help with his teammate, that's Joe Torres, in the 3 right behind him. So those are both WLT2 teammates.
Unfortunately, it looks like we kind of announcers cursed them there. Started making inroads, and then now they're starting to fade back again. As we see that third line starting to form there up at the top.
Oh, yeah.
Could be definitely hurting that top lane just a little bit whenever that third lane forms. Led by Mike Wheel in the 96. Have to see if anybody goes up there and tries to ride that momentum, or if they stay committed to the middle lane.
Out of all the 2 major super speedways, with Talladega or Daytona, it's so much more technical here at Daytona to try and actually start and finish with the third line.
Yeah, a little bit tighter for sure. And if you get that top lane singing with enough cars, though, it certainly can be one of the fastest ways around this track. Big problem for them is it just doesn't look like they have the numbers that they need to really pull it off. If that middle lane can get up to the front, then you have a couple guys leak out and go up there. That could be massively beneficial, but you also have to remember a lot of those guys that pit around lap 31 starting to get low on fuel here. Might want to start, conceding a position or 2 to get themselves to the bottom and in position to make that green flag pit stop.
Yeah, I think from our calculations, since they started on lap 31, we did have that one caution that flew. But they're going to be looking for fuel in the next 5 laps.
Yeah, we'll have to see for sure. They could have been saving some fuel. Doesn't really look like it, but always a possibility. Have to see how it all works out for sure. But coming to 30 to go, see a lap car up front that looks like that's Josh Douglas. We saw him get spit out from the pack earlier. Be interesting to see how he affects this composition as we see 3 wide and a lot of jostling.
Yeah, 3 wide there, and they're close. That's outside line's got 4 nose to tail, and then they've got that 4th line coming up. I think that's Ramsdale on the outside line. That's Jeff Ramsdale, the 97.
Looks like the lap car decided to stay on the bottom. Certainly going to space out some of this pack, especially how they merge back down in front of him. Don't want to get caught as that last car out there. This is where it gets really sketchy.
Yeah, it sure does. That lap car was not going to give up its position. It gave the high line and the outside to everybody, but you can certainly do 3 wide, but 4 wide does not work on this track.
No, not at all. Top lane starting to make a resurgence, and that 3rd and 4th cars in line are Kai Collymore and Daryl Young. Seen them at the front all day. Both of them got shuffled back. Trying to get back up there towards the front. A little bit more work to do, but that top lane is getting back there.
Solid run here. 71 laps complete out of 100. Just 30 laps to go.
See those teammates still committed them to that bottom. Now you got 4 of them in a row there on the bottom, with now Garrett Walden occupying that 4th spot on the bottom. To see here with 30 to go, getting close to that fuel window for some. Could be a mad dash to the bottom here in these next couple of laps.
Yeah, you've really got to play a little bit of chess here and think a few moves ahead, especially when you're coming up to a fuel window.
See those teammates clearing now on the bottom. Wells and Torres now commanding that inside line, leaving the outside in the hands of Collymore and Young.
For the top 6 have not pitted since lap 31. They're all due.
See how this all works out. I'm sure they're all kind of looking for a hold down. But if you're on the inside line, your whole job is to not let anybody get down that's up top. You want to make their life as miserable as possible.
Well,
so we'll see these top lane guys kind of pinch them down. Might flare out a little bit on this backstretch, try and use some momentum, but they're really doing their best to pin them down, not let them open up that wheel, and use the momentum on these straightaways to try and keep pulling themselves back towards the front.
Solid race here at Daytona from the iNRS Racing Cup Series drivers. Just some great racing we've seen tonight.
For sure, definitely tight and hectic, but at the same time a lot less crashes than I would have expected at this point. Still a long way to go here though. 27 laps, a lot can change.
Yep, absolutely. Full field here, just a handful of retirees tonight. Looks like the 2 of Nolan McClurg has retired. Ryan McClurg as well, unfortunately, also out. Corey Ennis remains in the pits, trying to get some repairs made. The 94 of Matt Parasini out, as well as Matthew Wheeler with IRFK. But that still means we've got 37 drivers still on the track with just 25 laps to go.
Thing I'm noticing with this top line, it looks like that 3rd and 4th car in line not quite able to stay as close to the other guys as the inside line is doing. Inside line stays really formed up all the way back through about the 5th or 6th car in line. That top lane, those 3rd, 4th, 5th place cars really don't seem to have the capabilities, or at least the want to get close enough to really help propel this line forward right now. As I say that 3rd car, the 85, doing a great job there of staying close. Have to continue that all the way around this track, and then that top lane will start marching forward again.
Yeah, that's the 85 of Dakota Reeder with KPR Motorsports. A little bit of bobbing and weaving here up at the front.
For sure. And these guys got to start being close to running on empty. Wouldn't be surprised in the next 3 laps or so to see these guys come duck down on pit road. And I'd expect no tires here, just the little gases you can take to get home and ride it out from there.
I mean, this is a super speedway race. You know, all these drivers they're going to go till that tank is nearly dry, because you don't want to be that guy who they decide to make that pit stop and they do just as the caution flies. That can really just toast your race.
Yeah, for sure. If that caution flies before you get on, you're definitely screwed. But if you get on pit road before the caution comes out, then the caution comes out, you cycle yourself right back to the lead. Kind of one of those risk versus reward things. You don't want to commit to pit road, lose all those spots, and then you lose all that track position and time. But at the same time, if you do it right, you certainly can capitalize off of it.
Well, that decision to come onto pit road is going to happen pretty quickly, folks. We've just got a 23 laps or so, 24 laps to go here, and if you pitted last on lap 31, I think you're seeing a light on your dash and a fuel pressure warning and a pit crew in your ear screaming, "Time to come in."
For sure, as it looks like, yep, there they all come. Big group coming down pit road this time.
Oh my gosh, nearly half the field on pit road at race speed. we'll look and see if we've got any issues coming up. So far, none.
Looks like the 46 missed his box pretty badly there. Going to cost him a lot of time. Looks like the 3's taking tires.
Oh, the 39 missed his box as well. Little overshot.
Yep, that certainly going to hurt. And all those guys that pit later on can take a little less fuel here and should jump the guys from that pitted on lap 31. So we see, yeah, the 39, yes, he missed his box a little bit, but got jumped by a ton of guys there on pit road.
All right, with that, the second round of drivers coming in. Oh, someone's backwards on pit road. Trying to see who that is. That's the 84 of Alex Daffin. Also,
Sir.
yeah, I don't know who else was sideways there.
Yeah, it definitely just ruined a couple races there for some of those guys. Not what you wanted to see at all if you were them.
I think that's
Never
the
a good feeling whenever you're facing backwards in your pit box.
Yeah, that's the 61 of Keith Fonseca there. Unfortunately, he went around. Not sure just what happened as they came down, but you know, that's getting on pit road there with everybody coming down together. That's pretty hectic.
Yeah, for sure. Have to see who cycles out to the lead right now.
Right now, I don't know if this is correct, but it's showing that Dakota Reeder is currently out in front. It's the 85.
Yeah, they do look like they're out in front by a good bit here, but they're not formed up either. These guys want to have, if Reeder and Jones want to have a chance of holding off this pack, they're going to have to try and find a way to get linked up here as Tony Japs, McKee, Ramsdale, all coming up quick, but then there's a big gap back to 6th.
You can see from that little map in the upper right-hand corner that the field is spread out over about half this track. Number of drivers out there by themselves, unfortunately. Jordan Wenzel is actually, he is the last car on the lead lap, and he is by himself.
Yeah, never a good feeling. Now this pack, this lead pack, it only shows 5 cars on the ticker that are within that in that lead pack, but there's a bunch of lap cars in there as well. They should be able to make some decent time here, as that pack behind them is about 3 seconds back. It doesn't really look like they're gaining any time right now, so that pack behind them, if they want a chance, you're going to have to get nice and orderly, push really hard, and try and catch them.
Good move by Dakota Reeder and Brian Jones with KPR Motorsports. They find themselves 1 and 2 here at lap 81.
As you can kind of start to see, that group behind them too wide, that's not really going to be to the benefit of them. They started out at about 3.2 seconds back a lap ago. Starting to gain a little bit of time, but minuscule at best. Going to have to really work together here and push hard and hope that they can get back up there.
It's like all groups of single file here going back to about 15. Looking further back in the field. Back up front, Dakota Reeder, Brian Jones by themselves. Up there with a car 2 or 3 length in front of Tony Japs.
And that gap that those two guys are pulling going to slow down that overall pack just a bit. But these two leaders right now have to be feeling really good. They only have to battle 3 other lead lap cars in that pack with Japs, McKee, and Ramsdale. The pack led by the Musos starting to make a little bit of inroads there. Looks like it was about 2 to 3 tenths faster that lap. We're going to need to try and find just a bit more to start sniffing that draft from the pack in front. Then they'll really start making hay, and then we'll have a lot more cars battling out for the win.
Yeah, they are hooked up on that pack there. That's Jake Musso right there at the 25. He is currently sitting in 5th. Looks like Tony Japs peeled off in the 42. He's back on pit road. See the 85 of Dakota Reeder and the 4 of Brian Jones. And they've got the Jordan Wenzel in the 81. He's right there behind them. Unfortunately, Jordan is a lap down.
Yeah, I'd say these guys that are lapped down in this pack probably not going to look to help these leaders out very much at all. They need a caution or something to try and save their race, but oh, there we go. See another car peeling off from that pack looking to pit. That's just taking more and more energy out of this pack. And especially if they get too wide like this, going to really, really slow them down.
Yeah, that was the 15 of Brennan McKee. He had some damage from an earlier incident on that car.
One car to note in this lead pack, or a couple cars to note. Obviously, Jordan Wenzel as well as Lumbombard, I believe, are both in this pack. Both are laps down at this moment. Both have teammates that are not in this pack, so I would be very shocked to see these guys try and help these leaders pull away at all. They might almost become like blockers, trying to keep breaking that pack up and let the other pack catch up to them.
Yeah, a little bit of a disruptor at that point.
For sure. Especially with Wenzel being towards the back of this pack, I wouldn't be surprised as that other pack gets closer, see him drag the brake a little bit, try and give him the draft, let him catch up even faster. But that pack, whenever they catch, is going to have a massive run on these guys.
Musso and his crew, they're about 2 seconds behind the third place of Ramsdale.
I'd say in about a lap or two, they should start to sniff the draft at the back end of this pack. But now that kind of lead trio of lead lap cars is broken off from the lap cars. So 3 cars are not going to be nearly as fast, but also those lap cars could act as a blocker of sorts and make it a little bit more difficult for the Musso pack to kind of catch back up.
Yeah, they're about a half a second faster. Let's bring up some last times here. I guess the front pack has kind of picked up the pace. They were around 47s before. Now they're back in the 46s.
Yeah, they were able to snag a little bit of draft off of some lapped cars that were ahead of them that peeled kind of off to the bottom. Certainly going to help them. As we see a big shakeup in that pack behind them. Going to slow them down a little bit. These 3 cars are going to have to do everything in their might to try and run the fastest laps they can for these next 15 laps to hold off those guys behind, but they are certainly coming and coming fast.
Yeah, they've worked their way around some lap down cars, and now they're nose to tail, closing the gap. Where that gap was 2 seconds before, it's now down to 1.5.
And when those cars catch, it'll become a 10-car race for the win. The 11th place car of, I believe it was Carter, is nowhere near those guys. So looking like it's going to be settled amongst these 10 cars for the chance at the Daytona win here.
All right, just 14 laps to go here.
Now that 25 of Musso is going to now start to sniff the draft of Ramsdale, so going to start reeling them in faster and faster here as they go. I'd say they catch them around turns 3 if I had to guess, maybe sooner.
Just 2 or 3 car lengths behind, and here they are. They're on top. And that did not take long.
No, not at all. And there's going to be 3 SFM cars in this pack with, I believe that's the 81 of Jordan Wenzel. I know he's a lap down, but he's certainly going to try and help out his 2 teammates as they inherit the lead now.
All right, Jake Musso, the 25, takes over the lead. Oh, he's spinning out. There's Axe. Caution does fly. Just like that, we are back under caution.
Looks like just an ill-timed move from the Mussos there, trying to get to the bottom, it almost looked like, and just didn't look like they quite synced it up in time.
Unfortunately, that's the nature of pack racing and drafting and bump drafting.
Yeah, it looks like the 28 just bumped the 25 there into 3 whenever the car's at its lightest. And that kind of set off this chain reaction right here. 25 did his best to save it, had it almost gathered up, and then clips the 85, I believe that is, and hard to save a car whenever it's pointed backwards.
Well, you know what? For that incident at that where that occurred, we got awful lucky.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are certainly happy, but none happier than from 11th on back, starting with Zach Carter, I believe. Now he's shown P10. Those guys were out of this race completely. That whole pack was losing time and nowhere close, and now this brings everybody who's on the lead lap right back into play.
See the 79 of Scott Thomas here. He's waiting for the pace car to catch up.
Looks like he got a little bit excited to be out front here. He wanted to keep going.
Scott's cruising, putting along at 38 miles an hour. It's like Shane Trotter is getting a lap back.
Him getting his lap back, it's going to put 30 cars on the lead lap, I believe. Well, Rick, anybody in this kind of mad dash for the finish kind of strike you as your pick?
It just changed. I thought I had it figured out. I thought those guys were going to pull it off. They were in a great position, but you know what? It all changed, and that puts the guys we've talked about all night long. And that's Kai Collmore. He's currently will be up in 6th. You got still Joe Musso is there. Jeffers, the guys with Short Fuse Motorsports, all right there. So it's anybody's race with just 10 laps to go.
Certainly, that kind of important key to the race of finding your teammates is kind of long gone here with this dash to the end. Your friends are going to be where you find them, and I don't think many people are going to want to be your friend at this point.
No, because this is that opportunity, right? When you're down to 2 or 3 laps left, it's time to make your move, and if you got teammates to help you, great. But if not, it's really about finding your way to get to the front.
Yeah, I certainly think that this is going to favor those guys restarting on the inside. Scott obviously choosing the middle or the bottom there. Going to definitely give a little bit of a pull there to the inside line. I'd say that's definitely going to slow down the likes of Collymore, Reeder, and Carter there on the top. Going to be harder for them to kind of time it, and as well as that, we've never seen 3 wide really work all night, so would be shocked to see if it worked now, but you know, this is Daytona, Rick. You don't know until you know.
That's right. Well, the 9 of Austin Walton is there, so you got Scott Thomas and Scott Bailey up in front. Austin Walton and Eric Jeffers is in row 2. Joe Musso and Kai Collymore is in row 3.
Do think that the winner here is going to come from the top 10, but we're going to go green with 9 laps of racing to go, and that's still certainly a lot of time for a lot more shakeup. So we'll have to see if we keep it green or if we kind of divulge into a little wreck fest here.
Nothing surprises me. Everything is on the table. It's Daytona, so.
And you can't blame these guys. You know, nothing would be better than starting your season off with a win, kind of getting the monkey off your back, especially for those guys who expect themselves to win, you know, races every year. You kind of have in the back of your mind, if I need to win, I need to win, I need to win, and nothing feels better than getting that monkey off your back in week 1.
Yeah, you know, last year we talked about you get the win, you punched your ticket. That's gone. It's all about the points. So I think as a driver, you've got to have some type of balance between, okay, I don't need to win, but I need to finish well. You know, and because you're not going to get any points if you wreck out.
Oh, for sure. But then again, it is Daytona.
Right.
All these guys are seeing right now is that trophy sitting in front of them.
All right, green flag about to fly right here, back underway with just 9 laps to go. Scott Thomas leads this field on this restart.
Both lanes are really, really well formed. Top lane looks to be pushing just a little bit stronger. They're nose to tail for about 4 or 5 cars.
That's Scott Bailey on the outside. He's got the 12 of Eric Jeffers there, and I think that's Kai Collmore on that outside line.
Have to see what Scott Bailey does here. He's clear of the inside.
He drops
He'll
down.
drop down with Eric Jeffers.
A little bit of 3 wide racing happening pretty far back, but it's coming.
Certainly big run there on that outside line. Big pushes being delivered all the way around this racetrack.
So the 4 of Brian Jones drop down to the front. He's got the 5 of Zach Carter right there behind him. To the outside,
And
Kai Collmore.
And welcome back to the pole sitter. Lucas Gortman finds himself now after being a no-show all race in P2. And there's Daryl Young as well. We've seen him all night as well.
Wow.
It's like looks like everybody's starting. Ooh, we got a wreck in the back.
Caution flies again. Big wreck in the back. I think that was Jacob Phillips, Cody Sandlin. Number of drivers involved here. That's our 5th caution of the night. Let's try to go back and take a quick peek at what happened. Not exactly sure where this took place, but oh, right there. Oh, unfortunately, the 25 is involved as well.
I couldn't really tell there if they had contact previously or if the 09 just didn't know that there was somebody outside of him. It's like
I don't think the 25
already.
knew.
Yeah, the 25 almost looked unsettled going into the corner, and then it looked just kind of like the 09 drifted up slightly while the 25 came down just ever so slightly from his car being unsettled. Yeah, you see there from that angle.
Yep.
The 09 definitely came up, no longer in his middle lane, clips the left rear of the 25 and kind of kickstarts that whole thing. Just one of those looking for every inch you can find, and in that case scenario, just found an inch that was occupied and kind of kickstarted this, and then everybody trying to avoid. See the 3 down there on the apron getting shoved. That kind of keeps the wreck going on throughout the rest of the corner.
Yeah, there's a serious difference between the apron and the racing surface. That angle, it's no bueno for these cars.
Certainly. 3-car did a great job of saving that race car. One of the hardest things to do there is use that banking transition to save it. Oftentimes you see an overcorrect happen. He was able to keep that thing nice and controlled under him. That's a really, really good save and kept him in this race.
All right, number of drivers on pit road. Most of those were involved in that incident. They're making some necessary repairs. Again, there's no quick repair in this league. If it's broken, if you got a toe link or some damage that caused your vehicle not to run, and aerodynamics plays a factor here at this track.
Yeah, for sure. In that restart, we saw a big shakeup. We see Kai Collymore going from 6th to 1st. Lucas Gortman, I'm not even sure where he came from, but he's 2nd now. Daryl Young's back up there. Jones, Musso. Big loser there is Bailey, the 11 car. He's down to 7th, and Scott Thomas went from leading the race down to 11th. So, not saying it's impossible for him, but now they've certainly got themselves in a little hole, and they're going to have to dig themselves out of it.
Yeah, by the time we go back to green flag racing here, we'll just have a handful of laps left.
Certainly. I'd say the gloves, if they're not already off, they're certainly coming off at this point.
Yeah, we'll go green flag. Crossing it now, be 96. We'll catch green at lap 97, so just 3 laps to go once that green flag flies.
Certainly should be in for a treat here. Obviously, we've seen Collymore and Young up front all night, Jones as well, but now we've got some new faces and guys that are certainly not unfamiliar to the front. Gortman won a handful of races last year in the league. Jeffers made the playoffs last year in the league, so certainly some old talent, but then the mix of new talent as well with all these new faces trying to get their season off strong and show that they're a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And Darrell Young is a new driver in this league this year. Brian Jones, both these drivers, mid to high 5,000 plus rating on iRacing. I not always speak about the driver's talent, but it does tell the tale of the tape.
Yeah, certainly. I like to tell a lot of people, the point number to their name doesn't matter until they prove it. But these guys have certainly came out in here and proved that at least their super speedway racing skills matches that number for sure.
Well, like this series mimics what happens on Sunday, they'll get challenged by everything. We've got short tracks, road courses. What is happening there? Again, even the broadcast truck can be bit by the internet.
For sure. Looks like we'll be going green here with 4 laps to go, starting on 97. We'll do 97, 98, 99, and 100, hopefully, barring any wrecks or accidents, and we'll crown ourselves a champion. But certainly a lot can happen and will happen for sure.
We do have some green-white checkers if we need them. Hopefully we don't. But Kai Collymore is in charge of this restart as they enter the United Rentals restart zone. And the green flag flies.
Big jump for those two on the inside. Going to be important that they get formed up. Darrell Young is clear of the top, so that gives Kai Collymore a little bit more to handle on his plate here as they barrel off into one.
Good move for these top drivers. Although the outside line's beginning to form up. That's led by the 11 of Scott Bailey.
Big thing to watch out for is how long does the 71 stay clear of the top lane. It's going to make everything a little bit more complicated for the 39 if that second place car is clear. As you see, Young is clear, takes it to the top. Now he's going to try and harness that momentum here off into one.
Good push behind the 71 is that 11 of Bailey. That 4 of Brian Jones would get up a little closer. And I am seeing a third lane beginning to form. They're 3 wide now.
Yeah, absolutely. That inside line just losing a ton of momentum here. 39 drifting even further back, and that top lane just keeps on scooting on.
Drivers holding it together.
As we're going to come to the line here with 2 to go. Tight squeeze there, 3 wide, the 39. Sticking his nose in there.
Nope, big wreck here. Oh my gosh, half the field is involved.
That is a huge wreck, and I don't think they're done wrecking quite yet.
right, looks like most of them are back underway. Can't tell the extent of the damage, but just some names involved. Just, it'd almost be easier to say who's not involved. Involved: Jeffers, Franz, Klaus, Torres, McKee, Walton, Burns, Fonseca, Jeffers, Sandlin, Reeder, Trotter, Wenzel. Yeah, pretty much everybody.
I'd say everybody from about 9th or 10th on back has got involved in that one. That was a big one.
All right, so what that means is that we'll move into the green-white checker situation here, Jordan.
Yeah, going to be a 2-lap dash to decide it. Certainly, being such short laps favors those first 3 rows of the winner coming out of those rows, but you never know. I mean, we've seen, Scott Bailey with a heck of a restart went from 7th to challenging for the lead very quickly, and in the same time frame, Collymore went from 1st to 5th. So, have to see who's got their lucky slipper on today.
All right. Again, thank you for tuning in to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series. We are here at Daytona and the Daytona 250. We've just got a handful of laps left. Our 6th caution of the night has flown from an incident in the mid-pack back. We have 3 green-white checkers if we need them. All right, Daryl Young finds himself in charge of this restart. And there's a huge opportunity here if you can get a good jump on the restart and have some good dance partners to continue with you. You can really make a run.
Yeah, certainly. And another thing to look out for is a lot of these guys, their last pit stop was under green. So, they definitely were just filling the car up, probably just to the bare minimum of what they needed. Obviously, we've had some cautions, which is going to elongate their fuel situation. But if we get into the 2nd and 3rd green-white checkers, if we need them, it could be something to look out for to see who's good on fuel and who might be just a touch short.
All right. Well, I'm guessing next time by, we'll lights will go off on our pace car, and we'll get this restart underway. See if we can crown a champion first time by.
Well, I'm interested to see if Young picks the top or the bottom here. We've obviously seen that top lane really start to form up around that 2nd lap, but it's just, does he really want to take the risk of giving up the bottom and not getting the best launch, or does he decide to try and risk it on the bottom and see if it holds up?
Yes, if he takes the outside line, he'll wind up with, I think, Zach Carter behind him with Short Fuse Motorsports. And Scott Bailey on the inside would wind up with Brian Jones. We'll see how this all plays out. Of course, that next row back is Kai Collymore and Lucas Cortman. My money's on one of those 2 guys.
It's hard to bet against him, but at the same time, Daryl Young's been so good tonight, and Scott Bailey's came on so strong as of recently. I think it's going to take either a really, really well-timed block or a really, really well-timed lane change to get this done. I just don't see one lane sticking together the whole way.
All right, so the way this works is next time by, that pace car will drop off. Green flag will fly. Daryl Young will be in charge of the restart. He's got to make it all the way back around to collect that white flag. And then next time by, we'll crown a winner here. The key is to make it around that first lap without an incident.
Yeah, it would certainly help. Looks like Daryl Young's going to take the top. Gonna take the pushes from Zach Carter and Lucas Cortman here on this restart and see what he can do with them. But yeah, like you said, I mean it's iRacing. There's no yellow after the white comes out. It's just a race back to the line. So if we get to that white flag, that's whenever everything's gonna start getting really, really bold, knowing that, no matter what, you gotta make it back.
Yep, yep, yep. No caution can save you. It's just however you finish, you finish.
Indeed.
All right. Well, it all comes down to this really here, unless we do this all over again.
There is always the possibility for that.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Far from the last either. But looks like we're going to have Young, Bailey, then Carter and Jones, then Gortman and Collymore. Seeing who can pull this one out. But like you said, points matter a lot more than they used to. So getting out of here at least with a finish is going to probably be more important than junking it.
All right, pace car drops off as we're about to enter the restart zone. And that flag does wave.
Big jump from Daryl Young. He's clear of everybody by a while.
And as we expected, he moves down with the 5 of Zach Carter.
But watch for a big run coming from behind him. Both the top and bottom are going to get there with a full head of steam.
They slide up to the outside, see if that's, a little bit of contact there. Now we're 3 wide. Zach Carter in the lead here. Can we make it back? And the white flag flies.
Dead heat at the line that time. Momentum to the top lane.
They're wrecking behind, but it doesn't matter. We're watching the leader here. That's Scott Bailey, finds himself out in front. Can he hold on?
Gonna be some big runs coming and big blocks getting ready to be thrown.
We're gonna stay with this lead pack. It's Bailey, Young, and Gortman right in front.
There's a move and a block.
Can he hold on?
What a move from Scott Bailey to get that thing done.
All right, Scott, unofficially, Scott Bailey wins this with Lucas Gortman and Daryl Young on the podium.
What a race. That kind of trio there at the end, they stuck together all the way till out of 4, solidifying that one of those 3 was going to win the race. Scott Bailey made all the right decisions and right moves and came away with it. Had some really, really good restarts there towards the end of it too. Found himself up front and capitalized on it.
All right, we'll stick with Scott Bailey a bit as he celebrates. Scott Bailey brings it home. Scott Bailey started 41st. All right, I think the Results are in. Let's go ahead and all right, there you have it. Your winner, Scott Bailey, in the 11, comes home first with Lucas Gortman in second. Daryl Young finishes in third. And with that, we'd also give Scott Bailey that hard charger award. Again, he is up 40 positions to win this race. Kai Collmore wins the most laps led with 29 laps. Lucas Gortman, not bad. He was on the pole, finishes in second.
Certainly. Going to be kind of one of those what-if races for a lot of these guys. Obviously, Kai led a lot of laps today, finished at fourth. Dale Young up front all race long, comes home third. And then what could have been for the SFM crew if the Musos didn't get together there and cause that caution with 10 to go. Going to be a lot of guys a little upset about themselves, but a lot of learning opportunities going into the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get with Daryl Young. I think he is in the waiting room for us. Let's find Daryl here. Daryl, congratulations on your finish. Daryl, got your ears on?
I do.
Congratulations on your finish. We were you were up front and you were there for pretty much most of the race.
Yeah, that was a fun race. Yeah, qualified P2, last week, so I was locked on the outside front row, and so the duel didn't really matter. And yeah, tonight had a lot of fun. Led a lot, went to the back, went back to the front, went to the back again, went back to the front. Made some pretty aggressive moves, but I didn't wreck anybody. And did what I had to do to finish as best as I could. And at the end, I'll take a podium finish. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We just saw. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, so Daryl, we saw you, obviously racing really aggressively out front. Like you said, was keeping track position a main cause of concern for you tonight, trying to stay away from kind of the mayhem that happens in the middle of the pack? Or was it more so just you found yourself up there and it was just like, all right, this is what we're doing tonight?
Well, like I said, I qualified, started on the front row. So the goal was to stay up there as much as possible. And I did until at one point, everybody went around me on the outside. I got kind of stuck in the middle in that sucker hole and went back. But just kind of recovered, just made my way back up to the front, did some 3 wide outside, did some 3 wide middle, and did what I need to do to have a good finish. And like I said, I made some pretty aggressive moves, but I wasn't going to wreck anybody to do it. So yeah, I'll take podium finish any day.
You got it. Well, congratulations on that. Any shout outs tonight?
Yeah. I want to thank my team owner, Brantley, Harpoon Design. He's awesome as a painter. He's #1 trading paints. If you need a paint, custom paint, or you want to just snag something off trading paints, he's got tons on there. So shout out to him. Shout out to my other actual teammates that couldn't make the race, but they were supporting me. Shout out to Vector, who's watching. Shout out to Steve, who was watching. And shout out to Marshall, who was watching. Or actually, he wasn't watching, but he couldn't. Anyway, shout out to you guys for the broadcast. Looked great. Appreciate it. And shout out to the league and putting this on. I'm happy to be here. And all the league sponsors, and having a lot of fun so far.
All right. Well, congratulations. That's Daryl Young finishing here in third place here at Daytona. All right. With that, let's grab Lucas Gortman. Let's bring Lucas into the in the booth. Lucas, welcome to the broadcast booth. Congratulations on your finish.
Oh man, I survived.
Yeah, we saw you, up at the front, and then obviously going all the way back, towards the back of the pack, and you came back when you needed to.
Yeah, it was kind of an eventful race starting on pole, because we got the pole at the duel. Then, stayed up front for the most part. It was just kind of our goal was just to kind of let it ride. Just see how the race goes, see how it plays out, see where we're at towards, after the stage, all that stuff. And then when we had those green flag pit stops, had some miscues and, lost the main pack and thankfully got that caution. And at that point, just trying to find what lane was moving and get myself in the right position, avoid the wrecks when they did happen. They were all around me and I somehow didn't get hit. I'm thankful for that. And then that last, that green white checkered there, I was pushing Daryl, pushing the 11, kind of the 3-car tandem, kind of pull away a little bit and was trying to make a move. Thought Daryl and Scott there were getting together and going to wreck and I was going to walk away with it, but come out P2, first race of the season. It's a good points day. I'm happy with it.
Absolutely.
Well, Lucas, it's been a long time no see. Glad to see you back in the league. But last year, obviously, with the reduced fuel load, we saw a lot of fuel saving. And now this year with the 100% fuel load, it almost looked like it was almost entirely eliminated from this year. What was your perspective from behind the wheel of the differences from last year to this year in the Super Speedway package?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail on the head there, because there was not a lot of fuel saving at all. You may have been like saving a little bit just to try to shorten your stop a little bit, but for the most part, everyone was just kind of going, which was really nice. You're not just saving fuel and everyone's just kind of just sitting there, and it was good racing throughout, like much better than last year. I'll agree. It was a vast improvement with the max fuel.
Great. Yes, it was awesome. Great racing tonight. Any shout outs tonight, Lucas?
Yeah. Everybody at IRFK, Tyler Lim, Matthew Wheeler, Jeff Ramsdale, our affiliate kind of, teammate Keith Fonseca. We were trying to work together with another team, Chase Berry and Jacob Phillips. We just couldn't ever find each other in the race. Sandy Acres Cattle Co. They weren't on the car today because we're doing the Biffle, honoring the families lost, the Greg Biffle family and all them. Next week we'll have the Sandy Acres Cattle Co. on the car. You guys for doing the broadcast, all the admins, everyone who came out to race. It's been a lot of fun. Not a huge fan of it at Atlanta. It's near Super Speedway, but we're going to try to repeat what we did here tonight and maybe even get one spot higher.
All right, congratulations again. That's your second place finisher, Lucas Cortman, here in Daytona. And let's go ahead and bring your winner in, Mr. Scott Bailey. Here he is, Scott. Congratulations. Welcome to the broadcast booth. You won. You did it. Scott, you there? Scott, you got your ears on. Well, Jordan, let's hope he catches up with the broadcast here.
Yeah, it was a great race tonight, though. I saw a lot of 2-wide racing, 3-wide racing there towards the end, but kind of like Lucas said, the increase in fuel load that we got in this league now certainly added to the excitement. I think it's a lot more fun watching these guys, use the talent of the draft as opposed to the talent of fuel saving to go out there and get it done.
Scott, you back with us yet?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, congratulations on your win tonight.
Thank you. This is the first race for me in this league, so I was not expecting it.
Well, yeah. It is Daytona. I don't think you can really expect it, right? But you made it. You started all the way in the back, and here you are.
Yeah, it was honestly like my strategy for this race was just not get lapped by the first caution, stay with the main pack if it got broke up, and then just try and work as far forward as I could before we had to pit under green, so I could be with the lead pack and have a chance.
Well, your strategy certainly paid off. You came on strong at the end there, put yourself in the right position to put yourself out in front to win this race. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got any shout-outs tonight?
Yeah, my teammate, Blue Collar Racing, we both just joined this year, so Matthew, Paytech 14, we were working well together. He had a packet loss, and then the 71 and the 6, I wouldn't have won without the push from them guys, so appreciate the cooperation.
You got it. All right, that's your winner tonight. That's Scott Bailey finishing here, winning the Daytona 250 here in the iNRS Racing Series. Let's bring up our other graphic here. Let's just as a recap. All right, Scott, you also happen to win the Hard Charger Award, coming back 40 positions. There you go. All right, Jordan, heck of a race to open the season with. If it's going to be like that all season long, it's going to be a wild one.
Yeah, for sure. A little scuff set up tonight, so hopefully I didn't do too bad of a job. But it was fun, and good to see all these familiar faces back out on track that I've raced with before. But then also cool to see the new guys already starting to put their stamp on the league.
You got it. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series here on Thursday nights. Come on back for next week. We will be in Hotlanta, I believe. I haven't looked at the calendar. I haven't thought that far ahead. I've been still just sitting here talking about this. But yeah, we'll be at the Auto Trader 200 in the Echo Park Speedway next Thursday night. That should be a fun one. It's like having two super speedway races back to back.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a lot of the same excitement that we saw tonight, just a little bit more condensed, and everything happens a little faster.
You got it. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in, and good night, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again.